Hey folks, Rob here, bringing you a little bit something different. So this is going to be a historical ASL campaign. This is going to be the Band of Brothers. So it mimics the movies and the books, and it's going to consist of 9 missions over the course of June 44 all the way to April 45. Now, this was first developed by Hans Mielants back in 2000s, and it's written for the first edition rules, not the second edition Solitaire, which expand a lot of the orders of battle and other stuff. So we're going to be using the actual official unit composition. So for Parachute Company in 44, 45, we're looking at this right here. So we have 9 747s and 3 leaders, 3 half squads, and we have 7 126 crews, which are going to be used to man the mortars as well as the bazookas. Yeah, so the 9 missions, we're going to start off with mission number 1, which is going to be take the highway. Now, if you've never done Solitaire, again, might be a good intro. I'm going to walk through everything you need to get going with this campaign. And if you want to dip your toe into Solitaire, and assuming you can get your hands on the Solitaire rules, which 3rd edition printing is coming sometime, maybe this year or maybe early next year, not quite sure. It was supposed to be last year, but things got delayed, so who knows when it will show up, but it will. And then you can undertake something like this as well. I'm going to post this link on my Google Drive so you guys will be able to get this map if you don't have it. There's also other campaigns you're going to find on the Solitaire ASL Facebook. Game Squad Forums has a whole subforum dedicated to Solitaire, so there's plenty of sources where you're going to get things like this, but I will make this one available for you guys. So let's look at the mission itself. Now we're going to be doing Take the Highway. This is what a typical scenario looks like, or mission, I should say, in Solitaire. They're called missions. Regular ASL, they're called scenarios. But aside from that, there's really nothing similar about them. You have a bunch of predetermined tables for various numbers, and then you have map board selection and activation. So for us, we're going to have 3 maps. We're going to use, because of Hans's campaign notes, we're going to use the A9 farmland table. And what that looks like, you have a random map board selection table. This is one that's probably going to make its way into the 3rd edition, although it's a draft version only, and therefore it's going to be subject to change. So what we want to do is roll for 3 map boards with a -1, and then we want to roll for the sub board. And then finally we're going to roll which orientation that we're looking at. So on a 1 to 3, the number will be pointed to the north. On a 4 to 6, it'll be pointed towards the south. Right, so let's move this all out of the way and let's go back to the mission itself. The sequence is pretty standard. Typically, you derive your boards, then you place your suspect counters based on whatever the mission requires, and then units enter either from off board if you're friendly and they're in hold, or you could be on hold while they're on the advance entering from off board. So depending on the mission, you're going to have one of those 2 states. Some of them may actually combine them, and of course, you're developing new missions which change this altogether. So in terms of map boards, what we have to do is calculate for this mission the minimum number of turns equal to the length of the shortest road network. So when we select our 3 boards, we have to rotate it. We can rotate them freely just so that we have a continuous line of roads from the north to the south. We'll get into the unit composition in a second. So let's open up our VASL game here. And we're going to do 3 rolls. So this was the first run, -1. And then we're going to have a... actually, let's bring a... Yeah, we'll do that. That's fine. So that's going to be an 11, sub number 11, 2. This will be a 4, sub group 4. And then our last board is also going to be an 11, and it's going to be a 5. So if you look at our board, we have an 11 for 2, which is on farmland. We have village 59. Then we have 4 for 4, which will be board I, one of the starter kit boards. And then we're going to have board 56. So we're going to sandwich 2 village boards in between a farmland board. So what does that look like? add our rows. We'll add in our first board, which is, we said was 59. All right, 59. And then we had board I. Not that I. We need I starter kit. All right, and then we need board 56 for the last guy. All right, so these are our map boards. We're going to worry about which orientation they are when we start. Right now, we're going to look for a road. Looks like the center road is going to be our shortest route. So we do have a good road network, and let's do the board flip right now. Now, before we do this, this is setting up a VASL game. There's already several videos out there. I made one a couple years ago. Academy ASL has made another one recently. But basically, we can go into this train SSR because we already know that we're going to have all the grain and all the brush are going to be considered to be flooded terrain, and they're going to be at a -1 level. So we can look right away at the train SSR, and we can apply that by going other transformations. We want to go brush is -1, grain is -1. Nothing else really matters. It is June. We don't care about the grain. Well, I mean, it'll be in season, and ETO terrain is there as well. All right, now that is the only change per the mission special rules, so let's apply that. You can see how it's changed things. Go done, and we'll go finish. So we're going to have our map. Let's start up a log file. All right, and this is what we are looking at. Now we have to determine board orientation. So first of all, let's bring in a counter to see which way is north. Typically, in these games for Solitaire ASL, the way it is always set up is if you look at our boards, they're all set up in this fashion. North is always towards one edge, friendly side is always on the left, and enemy side is always on the right. Now, again, because this is a custom mission, or I should say campaign, it more or less reflects reality. For this campaign itself, for this mission, we're actually going to be rotating our arrow 90 degrees, again, in accordance with his directive here. So, right here, rotate the north arrow 90 degrees to the right. So typically we're like this. Now we're going to be coming like this. So this will be the south from which we enter, and this will be the north if we want to exit off it. All right, so let's look at roads now. We want to find orientation first. So let's do 3 rolls. 1, 2, 3. We have a 4, 1, and a 6. So this board here, I will stay the same because we rolled. Actually, I should say I is going to flip over the other way. So let's do that. Just go flip. Okay. And now it's flipped over. So it doesn't change anything. The hex count's still going to be the same. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 2, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. Now, the standard mission to determine game length, because something else about Solitaire, if you weren't aware, is variable game length. You never know when it's going to end. In this case, we count up our 35 road hexes. We divide by typically 5. However, again, because of the custom campaign, we're actually going to be dividing by 4. Where are we here? Yep, here. Determine mission length dividing by 4. So 35 divided by 4 is going to give us 8.75 turns, which we round up to 9. All right. So let's bring in some other stuff. So again, this is a bit of a mini tutorial on how to set it up. There's other ones out there. By all means, make use of them. We're going to add another column. And this one's going to be null boards with one 0 like that. Right, so this gives us space on the side. Now we can start adding some overlays. Now there's a very cool feature with the latest versions of VASL. You have this overlays button here, which now brings this up. All right, and the old way used to be you hit this, you generate a label, you type in your HTML, etc., what have you. This one is quite simple. We're just going to drag a bunch of these over here, and we'll add a total of 3 different ones to this map. Now, something again that I talk about, I don't know if Neil mentioned this or not, but there is a good workaround or something you should have handy, and that is a nice little list of HTML codes for what you want. I play a lot of Solitaire, so I have a lot of codes. We're going to need a cloaking, so we need this. You just copy everything from HTML tags. To select it, you go Alt-click, HTML code, paste in your code, and there you have your link. All right, so we need a cloak and display because we're doing Paradrops. And we're also going to need there's a campaign organizer card. That's not too bad one to have. Scenario aid card we're going to use. Move that aside for now. And then lastly, we'll bring on the German activation card with the custom German activation ranges. All right, so we'll pop that up here somewhere. And we'll move our other boxes in. Actually, we're going to use 4 wings for our Paradrop, so I don't need to see the rest of it. We'll just keep it like that for now. Now, one other thing we're going to add is hex grain, because if you look on this overlay button here, you have this window pop up. If you click on the hex grid, you can bring in extra hex grids. We're going to need these because we're probably going to be landing off board in some cases, hopefully not, but you never know because of the randomness, which I'll explain in a second. All right, we'll copy that and we'll move it over to this side. Right, those are in place, and if we need more, we'll just add them. So now we can do our unit selection. So again, this is following the path of the Band of Brothers. And if we look at the mission loadout, this is our composition. We remember we're not going to use this. We're going to be using the actual legitimate, well, amended one, if you will, from here. So we need 9 747s and 3 half squads, as well as 7 126s. So I'm just going to plop those right into the cloaking display. So we have elite 747s, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right, I'll spread these out. We can almost have like 1 platoon per wing. But I think we're going to spread them out a little bit more, just because the the way it has to be. We don't want to have all of our stuff in one basket, as it were. So now we need some 337s for 3. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then we need 4 or 7, 1, 2, 6 crews. Excuse me, 7 crews. So there we go. Now, weapon-wise, we are looking at 3 mediums, which we have to roll for because, well, I'll explain that in a bit. We have 3 mortars. Now, we could use the M19 airborne mortar, which is what we're going to use because they're airborne. And we also have 4 bazooka 44s. Those are always carried by the 126s, again, per the rules. So the M19 can be dropped with their parachutists. Americans, when they do paradrops, can jump with their mortars, but that's it, unfortunately. Everything else is going to have to be dismantled. We want some bazooka 44s. And then we get 3 machine guns. Now, as I mentioned, with the 2nd edition rules, when it comes to support weapons, mediums and heavies, sometimes you weren't necessarily allotted what it says. In this case, as per 1785, we have to do MG determination for all American companies except USMC. So all airborne companies must roll in this. Now we have 3 mediums, and for every medium or HMG, we must make a roll on this. So in this case, we're either going to have a heavy or we're going to have a 50 cal. Now to that, we're also going to add a -1 DRM because of the year. All right, so basically we're looking at 3 rolls. 1, 2, 3. So we're going to have 1 heavy and we're going to have 2 50 cals. Again, it seems to be a bit overkill in my mind, but again, as per, this is what they get. Now, support weapons must always be dismantled whenever possible. And that includes our airborne mortars. And lastly, we have to bring in some chutes. All right, so we have 15, 19 chutes. Alrighty, and we're going to rename them all. So all right, and now we also need small chutes because we have variable support weapons, except for the mortars, which can come under the same canopy. So we have 4 bazookas and 3 machine guns. So we're going to need another 7 of these. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, and these ones we're going to label with what they the box that they're in. So right now, first thing we have to do is identify drop points. Again, because of the mission parameters for the special mission here, friendly units enter as airdrop with no pre-designated drop point. Typically, the process goes, if you're doing normal Chapter E rules, again, I made a video on this, you identify various locations that you want to launch your dudes into. So let's use wing A. This would be D. And B. Normally what happens is you break your airborne forces up into sticks, or wings, I should say. Each wing consists of 5 counters, and there's only one that is not complete. It's all your overflow. Again, you can split them up however you want. Just remember that you always have wings of 5 except for one wing, which may be less. Now you have to pre-identify drop points. Again, we have to worry about flooded terrain, so we would normally avoid landing in this kind of stuff just for what it entails. This is really not the best board for airborne troops to land. And again, because this is a custom scenario, we use custom landing rules. So I cannot pre-designate which board. I must do this randomly. And the way this is done is using the drift placement procedure from Chapter E. So in essence, each one of these gets a die roll to see which board it's on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's going to be on board 1. Now we pick a letter, and for this we have a letter chit A to GG. So in this case, we rolled the DD. So it starts off on coordinate 5 in hex DD. So that's not a great start. Now we do the same for Bravo. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5 is down here in A. So it's going to be A5 right on the board edge. So as you can see, we're all going to start spread way out. Now we do Charlie, and that is board, the bottom board as well. It's going to be J for 5. Right, and then we do our last one. We are on board, the first board, with a G. Again, we go to coordinate 5, and now we roll randomly to see where they land. Now this is just a straight up random die roll, colored is directions, so we're going to go 6 for 2. 1, 2. This guy here is going to go 6 for 2. That's a little bit better. You are going to go 3 for 2. 1, 2. And then you will go 6 for 2. 1, 2. All right, so these are basically our new drop zones. Again, historically, there was a bit of a scatter drop given the conditions, so it kind of makes sense that we land in this way. One thing I forgot to do is set up the suspects. So before I go any further with putting these units in, I'm going to place suspects. For this, we look at our mission. Again, we're doing take the highway, and we want to do S placement. So this is going to be one suspect in each building or woods location within a radius of X amount of hexes. So we'll do 1 die. That is a 5. Now, if we look at table A6F, which is in SASL, if you have the SASL extension, A6F of 5 is going to be within 2 hexes, any woods or building within 2 hexes of any intersection. All right, now we're done. So again, let's look at the scenario. So we placed per building woods location a suspect with no overlap, regardless of how many suspects might show up based on intersections. Now the sequence is suspects are set up and then friendly units enter from off board. Again, we're entering via airdrop. And our mission end is 35 hexes divided by 4, not 5 like it says here, which gives us a possible end of 8 turns. So we have a possible game end of 8 turns. Once we hit turn 8, we have to roll a single die, and if it's 1, 2, or 3, then the game will be over. All right, so let's add some other stuff to it. So first of all, let's add a custom phase wheel. Phase wheels are very handy for letting you know what's there. Set our size. We'll do Americans first, and Germans will be second. All right. Now we have to roll some other parameters, again, based off the mission. So we have an enemy SAN, friendly SAN. 12 will get us a 3 for the enemy, and 7 it will get us a 3 for the friendly. So we have friendly and enemy that are within the same SAN. All right, and we'll also adjust our parameters here. So axis ELR is going to be a 2, while I have a 3 SAN. Our ELR is going to be 5 because we're elite underlined, and our SAN is going to be 3 as well. All right, so we'll save that. And now we do enemy activation check number as well as random event numbers. All right, so enemy AC is a 4. Actually, I believe it's already identified with us. Yes, it is. All right, so Hans has determined that AC are going to be a 2 to start, so we don't need to roll for that. So this 4 is going to be for the enemy REs, which is a 3-4. And the allies get a 2, which gets us a 4-5. Now, if you understand the way averages work with die and such, it's more likely you're going to get a 4-5 than you will a 2-3. So it looks like we're going to get a lot of chances here. Oh, sorry, 3-4. All right, so we have our units there, and then we have our activation check number, which is set at 2. All right, let's use these actually. So this is enemy RE. This is friendly RE. Right, so we have possible end. We have our sniper information, our ELRs. are going to be 5 for the Americans, and we have a 2 for the Germans. NVR is going to be a 5. This is going to be a night mission, so our NVR will be set to 5, which is quite easy for them to see the chutes landing, again, as we'll see. Now we start off with no wind, as per normal. And we'll bring in this for later on, assuming it changes. We have EC are going to be moist. With a neg 1, so. All right. Now, that is it for mission parameters that we care about. Now we can actually do the actual game itself. So first thing is first is we have to make a wind change on the off chance, you never know, that there might be some wind generated. I should also mention that as per the mission special rules, civilian information is available in a friendly country. So when the Americans wind change rolls a 4, I believe, in a friendly country, it might be a 3, I'll confirm that, then we'll have information on suspects. Basically what that means is the closest concealment comes off or suspect gets activated. All right. Other MSRs that we have to consider are anything landing in a flooded hex must take a morale check, as if it was a shallow stream. Bazookas landing in flooded hexes are eliminated, and there's plenty of flooded hexes. They come in by airdrop. Again, we've determined randomly where those drop point center point is. I haven't identified which path they're going to come in, but based on the compass, north is to the bottom of the map. They're going to come from the bottom right to the top left. All right, that's going to be the way of orientation, so we're going to show an arrow for that. All right, that's the way that the various chalks are going to be coming in. Right, and now with this done, we are set to actually commence the game. So let's go right to movement phase. This is when your units start to descend, and we have to start putting our chutes down. All right, so for wing delta, we start in the center, and then we place one wing or one chute counter on each side, like so. Weapon counters go down as well. That is R with R. S should be with S. Right, we can get rid of wing D now. And that's the first set of chutes, and we do the same with wing A. So start off with one in the center, and then one on each side. All right, our chutes have come down in these locations. Now we actually have to determine where they actually land. Now this is done by a just a straight up random location die roll for each chute, including weapon canisters, which have to take their own die rolls. So I'm going to speed through this. Let's go with S here. 3 for 2, 2. This guy is going to go 6 for 2. You are going 4 for 3. All right, so now chutes are started their descent. Now we can do any defensive fire. Remember, our NVR is going to be 5, which means anything with within 2 hexes, because of it doubles for aerial range. Anything within 2 hexes will have a potential for activation. All right. So right now we've just done landing. We now have to see if we drift. So this is what we've just done. It's a random location die roll. If we were Germans, we would have the white. If Russians, you increase the white by 50%. So all that's happened. And we have no breeze right now, so it's not going to drift anything downwind. Now we do any defensive fire, and then we actually land. So again, because of aerial range is doubled, NVR is a 5. That means any chute within 2 hexes has a potential for activation. Now this is a weapon canister, so those guys will not be able to. These guys are too far away, so that looks all good. Right here, though, we're going to have difficulty. This chute means that those two, are going to be activated. So let's roll this guy here first. So we have an activation check of 4. Now remember, our base number is at 2. The following parameters we have to add. If an enemy already activates within 2 the same building, it's a -1. -1 per level above that base level. In this case, it is a level 1 unit, so it'll be a -1. However, it's on the village map board, which means it's a +1 cancel. So all I have to say is this guy needed a 2, so he's a dummy. This guy here will need a 1. So he's a dummy. And this guy here will need a 1 as well. All right. 2 up 1 is a 3, so it's not going to be good enough. So we have 3 dummies already, which is pretty good. Now, continuing on with the actual landing, since nothing can see and shoot, now we actually have to land. Now each chute, not weapons, but each 5/8 chute can make 1 hex adjustment to the. This is to because they have steerable chutes. So let's get out of the lowland. And you guys are fine here. You're landing in road. This guy here, however, he's really going to be screwed. Let's land in an orchard. This guy's in a wood, so he's going to land in this location here between. You are in there. So if I land in a building, it's going to be rough. So I don't think I have a choice with L and M. Well, M I can move to here, but you're stuck. And you're going to move on top of your weapon chute, see if you can pick it up. You'll come up to there, and I think I'm just going to land in in the lowlands. So you two guys might have some issues. All right, so now we do the landing die roll. So now we have to do morale checks. Again, anything that lands in um, woodlands or buildings and such has to take an NMC. So far, we're fine. We do have one unit here in an orchard. Oh, I didn't move you. You'll come on the board A1. And so you guys need to take a morale check. You use the shoot's morale of 7. All right, I rolled a 3, so their contents are fine. And they land at the base level of their hex. You guys are all fine. You guys need morale checks as well. So let's do N. All right, we passed. L, we failed. Now, what's an L? L is a squad. So we have a broken squad that we can put down right now in location L. Because it failed a morale check, they land and they become broken. Now, we do have one unit here, which is off the board by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And to do that, we just reverse order the hexes. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which means he would have landed in an open hex off board. Now, just because you land off board does not eliminate you. It does mean that you'll able to move every movement phase 1 hex without any advance. So it's going to take a 1, 2, 3, 4 movement phases, and then he can advance onto the board to become in play. So it's that's just because you land off board with shoots does not mean that you are ineligible for the game. All right, one thing we forgot to do is all these half-inch counters get flipped over, and it stays in such a fashion until it gets picked up because the troops don't know what's in the canister. They just find one, and then they'll have to explore its contents. All right, so you guys are the weapon canister, so we'll flip you over. Now you are M. M is hopefully not a bazooka. It's a freaking heavy. Jesus. All right. Now again, according to the MSR, bazookas landing in a flooded hex are eliminated. And the rest of them are as if it was a shallow stream. So they've taken their morale checks. The one unit is broken. However, because the half-inch shoots also require morale checks if they land in dense jungle or swamp. So in this case, they're fine. They haven't taken any damage. And again, we have them all flipped over, so we don't know what they are. So now we can start putting our units down because they become known enemy units or known friendly units. So A. All right, I forgot to roll leaders. So before we do anything further, we're going to be on the other column here. For leaders, we have 3. And we're going to add a -1 because our company is elite status. So we D6 with a -1. So 1, 2, 3. So we have a 3 and 2 1s. So we have a 9-1, 9-1, and an 8-1, which is quite good, I would say. So we have a 9-1. We'll put them in B, 9-1 in G, and an 8-1 in L. L is broken, so he'll be with them actually broken. You always use the morale of the shoot when this kind of thing happens. You don't take the you don't use the morale of the inherent unit. All right, so we have our leaders. So let's go again. A is here. All right, so our units have landed. Not too bad. We are dispersed. We do have several units off board. And we do have... Oh, I didn't do you guys yet. P. P is right here. Q is you up here. R is down here. And S is over there. All right, so now our units are down. We don't have any defensive fire that we can worry about. NVR now is going to be hindered by this guy and the trees, although we could see this. One, two, three, four. So I think you actually are going to be activated. And you on the ground floor will be activated as well. I think that's the case because of this guy and this guy. They can be seen. Yes, with modifiers, however, they can be seen. So let's do an activation for you. Now that is a 6, so 6 is always going to be not activated. And you here. You're 4, same drills. Over here, you guys will be activated, but not you. So just you two here. So on the upper floor, now that is stone, so it will be a -1. And there's a further -1 for being above base level, so that's a -2 with a +1 for the village map board. So it's going to be a net -1. All right, 1 is always activated. To this we add 1, so it's going to be a 4. And a 4 will get us a squad leader, fortification, and a support weapon. So the squad is going to be adding +1 to that. So if you look at our German table, we add a +1 because of the MSR. So that 6 becomes a 7. So we have a 4, 6, 7. We have a 9 for leader. Again, with the +1 is going to be a 10. So we're going to have no leader. We're going to do 1 roll to see if we're fortified. Because it's a building, anything that is 4 or less will constitute fortified. So in this case, we're fortified. All right. Let's bring in a fortified counter. And because that was a first level, the ground floor will be fortified as well. So you're on the ground floor. You are on the first floor. All right, so we have a 4, 6, 7 sitting in that location. Now the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to fire, because this guy is seen, we're going to add a +1 for night. So it's only going to be a +1 for the night low visibility. So a 4 up 1 will be an 8. 8 on the 4 will be a miss. So you first fired. Now we'll activate this guy here. So he's a 6. Again, a 6 is always nothing. So right now we have 1 activation and 6 that were not. All right, that's it for the movement phase. And so now we can get into the defensive fire phase, of which there isn't really any, just this one guy here, and our advancing fire phase. Now, with paratroopers, you're not allowed to attack the turn you land or worry about route. So it's just not going to be anything else for this turn, except for the all right, so there's no advanced phase either, no close combat to worry about, and we're into the German turn 2. German turn 1. All right, so from here on in, it's basically your typical ASL scenario.